Hi and welcome to The Print. My name is Karanjeet Kaur and I'm a writer and an editor. Let's talk today about two land bills that have been introduced in Goa. For a few weeks now, Goa's Legislative Assembly has been consumed by two bills that rewrite the rules of property ownership. In a state where land is the biggest story, the bills have turned political discourse into a battlefield. Together, the new laws make it easier to legitimize illegal construction, while simultaneously making it harder to hold on to community property. Dramatic scenes have unfolded over the first bill, which is the Goa Legislative Diploma Number 2070 Amendment Act 2025. This allows people who have built unauthorized houses on Comunidad land before 28 February 2014 to regularize their encroachments. They can get ownership of up to 300 square meters, covering the house's plinth plus a 2-meter buffer zone. Now, over a couple of weeks ago, opposition MLAs rushed to the well of the House twice, which forced the Speaker to adjourn the House. Despite the protests, the bill was passed. The legislation is being projected as a humanitarian gesture for what the government calls landless persons. They define these people as those who have lived in the state for at least 15 years but don't own other property. The bill includes a consent mechanism that requires Comunidad approval, but with a crucial catch. If the Comunidad doesn't respond within 30 days or refuses without reasonable grounds, consent is automatically deemed granted. The second piece of legislation is the Goa Estates Forfeiture and Bona Vacancia Act of 2024. This establishes a framework for the government to take over properties of people who die without legal heirs. While the bill was passed last year, the rules came into effect only last month. When authorities find such properties, they conduct a summary inquiry. And if no claims emerge within 3 months, the property can be forfeited to the state. However, the vague nature of the Act's definitions has drawn severe criticism. The government has argued that the bills provide legal security to long-term residents, while preventing illegal sales of ownerless properties. But critics see something entirely different in them: a reordering of Goa's centuries-old land ownership patterns under the guise of efficiency. To understand why these bills have sparked such fury, it's important to first grasp the unique pattern of land ownership in Goa. A comunidad is a codification of the ancient Gaonkari landholding system that predates Portuguese rule. Traditionally, comunidades operated as collective landowners where decisions about land use were made in consultation, and the land itself wasn't alienable. These comunidad lands have been under constant pressure for decades, with the very principle of collective ownership being questioned. Socorro Menezes, attorney for Comunidad de Zua, explained that the government of Goa does not own all the land in the state. He told me, revenue lands constitute less than 10% of total land area. The rest belongs to the Comunidad. The government's role, according to the Code of Comunidades 1961, is limited to administrative tutelage or supervisory powers, not ownership rights. According to a detailed O-Herald review report, the 1961 reforms explicitly rejected the earlier bifurcated system, which had given the state ultimate ownership while comunidades held only usage rights. The new framework established comunidades as property owners with the same rights as private individuals to determine land usage and rental terms. Comunidad properties belong entirely to the communities rather than operating under a split ownership structure where the state retained superior rights. Now, this makes the amendment particularly contentious. Menezes, along with other managing committee members of other comunidades, has made a representation to the governor on behalf of all Goa Comunidad. He argues that the government is essentially giving away property that belongs to village communities, not the state. Over the years, comunidades have routinely granted land to the government for infrastructure projects like roads and hospitals. Several of Goa's special economic zones or industrial areas like Verna and Patto in Panjim were built on comunidad lands. Not all of those benefits, however, have channeled back to the community. Menezes pulls no punches when he says that successive governments have tried their level best to make comunidades defunct. His argument hinges on a fundamental legal question. Does the government have the authority to make decisions over land that it does not own? He told me, the comunidad is the rightful caretaker of the land. This is like someone walking into your house, deciding to live there, and the authorities granting that space to the encroacher. Menezes said that regularizing illegal, unauthorized houses ignores the rights of the many people who can stake a rightful claim on comunidad land. It also incentivizes people to break the law. Beyond these fundamental constitutional concerns, there is the niggling worry about the amendment's impact on protected comunidad lands. The existing code restricts development on certain areas, like lands for cattle grazing, agricultural operations, reservoirs, and religious sites. Each regularized encroachment represents a permanent reduction in the comunidad's productive capacity and revenue stream. This makes it harder for these ancient institutions to sustain themselves. The regularization process could permanently railroad these protections, converting protected areas to residential use. Everyone in Goa knows where that road leads, down the swanky corridors of the real estate lobby that has sold bits of the state to people who have built their fourth holiday homes here. The Escheats Act, meanwhile, has triggered a different kind of panic, especially among Goans living and working abroad, who fear that their ancestral properties could be seized while they're away. Carlos Ferreira, who is the MLA from Aldona and former Assistant Solicitor General of India, had confronted CM Pramod Sawant in the assembly last year. Ferreira told me during an interview, I asked the question, what is abandoned property? The CM said that it was the same as escheat property. A property without an heir might be abandoned, but a property that seems abandoned might still have an heir. His concern centers on the Act's vague definitions and inadequate notification process. The law requires authorities to publish notices in local newspapers and the official gazette, but Ferreira sees this as flawed for a diaspora community scattered across the globe. He also said that according to the law in force in Goa, only when the sixth degree in order of succession is not available to succeed as heir, the property passes over to the state. He said, but it seems like the government wants to fast-track this system. They will first take over your property, then you fight for it, and maybe somewhere down the line, you will have to settle for a compromise. Ferreira suggested that the government had introduced the act with an eye on grabbing properties of Goans and giving it to their favourites. He pointed to the Chief Minister's claim that 60 such properties had been identified, referencing a one-man commission headed by Justice V.K. Jadhav that looked into land grabs. But we haven't seen a copy of that report. The Escheats Act, when viewed in conjunction with the Comunidad Amendment, represents a circular controversy. The opposition has repeatedly labelled the amendment Bhumiputra Bill version 2.0. The original Goa Bhumiputra Adhikarini Bill was introduced in 2021 but scrapped 2 years later thanks to massive public opposition. But Ferreira argues that the government is now achieving the same objectives through different legal channels. Then, as now, the bill was criticized as an example of vote bank politics. Migrant communities can be a very important demographic, especially in a low-density state like Goa. After all, even Pramod Sawant retained his Sankheli seat in 2022 by a margin of less than 700 votes. Will these two bills also bear the same fate as the Bhumiputra bill? Ferreira's assessment of the situation is withering. He told me, the CM and his party have made so many assurances, but the on-ground performance has been abysmal. It reminds me of the Alfred Tennyson poem, The Lotus Eaters. You want to keep the population on a high and tease them with great expectations. Now that parallel is apt. In Tennyson's poem, the lotus eaters live in a mesmerized stupor, ignoring their homes and duties. The only difference here is that the lotus eating is not optional.